I can still recall the sharp smell of disinfectant, the cold white light buzzing above me, and the sound of my father's annoyed voice right before he ended the call. "Why are you acting like this? You're fine." "Don't call me in a panic. Mira needs me right now." I was stretched out on a rolling hospital bed, bleeding, barely able to breathe after a collision that left my body numb and trembling. My leg felt crushed, my chest burned with every breath, but none of that compared to the ache inside my heart, the one carved out by the man who was supposed to care. He had walked away from me because my sister was upset after messing up at a small audition. And what cut deeper was how quickly he chose her over me. When he finally arrived long after midnight, the look in his eyes said everything. He didn't recognize the version of me lying there, and he had no idea what his absence had turned me into. The accident was nothing but scattered flashes, wheels skidding, glass breaking, then a heavy silence. When I opened my eyes again, I couldn't move my leg. Warm blood pooled in my mouth as someone lifted me onto a board. "Severe fracture, possible internal damage," a medic said in a steady, urgent voice. I kept drifting in and out. The next time I woke up, I was staring at a blinding ceiling, shivering under a thin sheet. A nurse leaned close, her voice soft but pressed for time. "Can you wiggle your toes?" "Barely." My hand searched for my phone. The screen was split through the center like I was. I tapped on the only contact that had always meant safety, my father. The first call rolled to voicemail. The second rang once and dropped. He finally picked up on the third, already sounding frustrated. "Lena, what now? I'm dealing with something. Mira's having a breakdown. Dad." My throat tightened. "I'm in the emergency unit. There was a crash. I can't move my leg." He let out a slow breath. "Are you dying?" "What?" I asked if you're dying, because Mira completely messed up an audition she's been preparing for, and she's falling apart. She needs me. This isn't the moment for exaggeration." "Dad, I'm by myself." I whispered, "They think I might need an operation." He sighed again, not fear, not concern, just irritation. "You're tough, Lena. You'll be all right. Stop panicking. Mira needs me right now." Then he hung up. I stared at the cracked screen, trying to understand what had just happened. Not the accident, not the pain, but the call. The only parent I had left had chosen my sister's emotional trouble over the fact that I could barely breathe on a hospital bed. Harsh smell of cleaning chemicals filled my nose. Machines hummed beside me in a slow, steady rhythm. A nurse returned and asked, quiet and gentle, "Is someone coming for you?" I nodded even though I already knew the answer. No one was on their way. Something inside me tightened. For the first time, I saw my family clearly. It was a ladder built on preferences and silent disregard. Mira had always been the fragile one, the favorite, the one who needed extra attention. Extra reassurance, extra everything, and me, I was the sturdy one, the reliable daughter, the one they didn't have to check on. That's what they told themselves every time they pushed me aside. Lena can handle it. Let's focus on Mira. I thought about birthdays. Mine were small dinners at home. Mira's were backyard celebrations with decorations and fancy cakes. I remembered my graduation, the one my dad skipped because Mira had a breakdown over getting a slightly lower grade. "You get it, right?" he had said, and for a long time I told myself that I did. Even in college, when I held down several part-time jobs to cover tuition, he sent Mira money for rent and bought her a new computer because the old one stressed her out. When I mentioned that mine was falling apart, he told me to look. For a second, hand one online, it had always been like this. When Mira dented the family car, it was called a small lesson. When I forgot to top up the tank once, I was careless. She stumbled through an internship and needed reassurance. I earned a promotion and heard, "That's what I expect from you." I wasn't the daughter who needed him. I was the daughter who held everything together, lying there on that hospital bed. Something I had avoided my whole life finally settled in. This wasn't love. It was neglect, disguised as expectations. For years, I believed that if I kept my head down, worked harder, stayed steady, and gave more than I had, I would eventually earn his affection. But his affection had conditions. When I brought home top grades, he would give a simple nod. "Good. That's how it should be." When Mira barely managed to pass, he took her out to celebrate her strength, and posted about her determination. My reliability wasn't appreciated. It was used. He depended on me to handle paperwork, sort bills, fix problems, and keep the house running. Mira drifted through life wrapped in excuses and endless do-overs. She built up a pile of debt, and he paid it off, then told me to cover some household expenses just until things balanced out. And I agreed, because I thought love meant sacrifice. But lying there in a thin gown, with stitches pulling at my side and bruises blooming across my ribs, something finally came into focus. He didn't love me. He loved the convenience of not having to care for me. That night, something inside me cracked for good. When they moved me to a quieter corner of the trauma unit, the hospital almost felt like a refuge. Cold, distant, but still warmer than the place I came from. The lights dimmed. A nurse asked softly, "Is anyone coming for you?" I gave a small smile, "No." She nodded with understanding. "Let us know if you need anything." And for the first time in my life, I did need something. Not protection from pain, I could withstand pain, but protection from the people who claimed it was love while letting me crumble. I picked up my phone again, my hand steadier this time. I scrolled past my father's contact, past Mira's, and stopped on a name I hadn't touched in years. Elise Rowan, my lawyer. We'd worked together once on a housing issue. She was composed, kind, and she believed me. When she answered, I thought I would break, but I didn't, because this time the call wasn't a plea. It was a beginning. "Elise, it's Lena. I'm in the hospital." There was a brief pause before her voice sharpened. "Are you safe?" "Yes," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, physically. "But I need help, legal help." I told her everything, the crash, the call, the quiet years of being the family backbone. The money transferred again and again because I was the responsible one. She didn't interrupt. She listened. "All right," she said. "What do you want to do?" "I want to cut them off," I whispered. The words felt heavy and freeing at the same time. "I want to make sure they can't touch anything connected to me anymore, papers, access, accounts, anything I ever signed. All of it," I said. She didn't ask me why. She didn't have to. "Do you have records of the help you've given them?" she asked. I nodded without thinking. "Yes. I've saved transfers, messages, emails, screenshots. I didn't know why I started keeping them. Maybe part of me knew I'd need them someday." "Good," she replied. "That will make things easier. I'll meet you at the hospital in the morning. We'll start drafting what you need." "You're not doing this alone." For the first time in a very long time, I believed someone. I sank into the pillows as the steady beeps filled the room. I wasn't just fighting to get through the night anymore. I was finally choosing myself. The daughter who always came second. The woman who muted her needs to stay strong. She was done pretending that being resilient meant letting people use her, and the silence around me didn't feel empty. It felt open, a space to breathe, a space to begin again. Elise arrived as the early sun slipped through the blinds. Dark blazer, hair tied back, case in hand, she brought a kind of calm sharpness into the sterile room, like a quiet shift in the weather. "Morning, Lena," she said, offering a small, steady smile. "Let's begin." She pulled a chair beside my bed and opened her laptop. I handed her a small drive I had tucked away in my bag. Inside were months of quiet preparation, bank logs, screenshots, payment records, emails, messages. Seeing it all together made my stomach turn. Rent payments, grocery funds, therapy fees, car fixes, unexpected emergencies, little rescues, big rescues, almost all unasked for, but always assumed. When Elise finished reviewing, she looked up. "This isn't simple generosity," she said. "This is a long pattern of financial reliance that borders on manipulation, and emotionally, it's a lot." My throat tightened. Do I look naive? I whispered, "No." She said without hesitation, "You were taught to believe that love has to be earned by giving parts of yourself away." Her words cut deeper than any injury I had that night. Every payment I covered, every quiet compromise, every moment I stepped aside wasn't keeping the peace. It was a desperate trade for connection that never arrived. I finally understood something painful. They behaved the way they did because they knew I would never refuse them. Until now. Elise moved me through the process step by step. We canceled the broad legal permissions I had once signed. We removed my father and Mira from anything tied to my future planning. We secured every one of my financial accounts. I'll handle the notifications, she said. It might get tense, but it will be clean. You're not just walking away from them. You're reclaiming your life. I signed each document with a kind of sorrow that had nothing to do with my stitches or bruises. It was grief for the version of me who kept giving, kept waiting, kept believing they would eventually choose me. But as the ink dried, that grief settled into a strong, steady certainty. I wasn't waiting for their approval anymore. I was drawing a boundary not to hurt them, but to protect myself. By late afternoon, the room grew quiet again. Machines hummed, monitors blinked softly. My leg throbbed under layers of bandages, but the real weight sat in my chest. They were coming. The hospital had reached my father, since his name still sat on some emergency paperwork. I didn't think they'd show up so quickly, but Elise stayed beside me, ready for what she called the predictable fallout. Not long after, the door pushed open. My father stepped in first, tie sliding loose, wearing an expression that might have passed for concern to someone who didn't know him. Mira followed behind, oversized sunglasses resting on her head, looking both offended and inconvenienced at the same time. Then they noticed Elise. "Who is she?" my father demanded, as if the ground had shifted without warning. "Good evening," Elise said with calm confidence. "I'm Elise Rowan, Lena's attorney." Mira's mouth twisted with disbelief. "An attorney? Seriously?" I pushed myself upright, a sharp pain tugging at my ribs. "You can sit and talk, or you can leave. It's up to you." My father's jaw tightened. "This is about earlier, isn't it? You're blowing everything out of proportion." "You weren't in danger. Mira was falling apart." I held his gaze. "I was in an emergency unit, preparing for surgery. And you were more upset about her failed opportunity than my injuries." Mira had an anxiety episode. He snapped. "You always turn things into disasters." "It's what you do." That sentence, the one I had heard my entire life, felt like a physical hit. I turned to Elise. "Can you play it?" She tapped her screen, and her phone crackled as the recording played. "Why are you making this a big deal? You're fine. Don't call me like this. Mira needs me right now." Then Mira's voice followed. "You're so selfish, Lena. Can't you see I'm falling apart?" The audio cut out, leaving the room thick with silence. My father went pale. Mira's face lost all color. "You recorded us," he spat. "Yes, after you hung up on me." I said. Something inside me knew I'd need the truth saved before the story got twisted. My father's expression deepened into anger. "This is ridiculous. You've lost touch with reality." "No," I said. My voice didn't shake. "I finally see it." Elise stepped forward, holding a folder. "As of today, Lena has removed both of you from all financial and legal access to her life. That includes any prior permissions, shared accounts, and involvement in her future decisions." Her tone was steady, professional, and impossible to interrupt. "You no longer have any claim to her finances or her assets," Elise said. My father yanked the documents from her hand. "You can't do this." "She already has," Elise replied, steady and unshaken. Mira stepped forward, panic flashing across her face. "But I need help. I'm trying to find work. I can't move back with our mother." "That's not my responsibility anymore," I said, my voice firm. "You had countless chances. You always got rescued, and even when I was lying here barely holding myself together, you managed to make everything about you. We're your family." My father barked. "No," I said calmly, "you're my relatives." "That's not the same thing." He stared at me like he didn't recognize the person sitting in front of him. "You were raised to be dependable so the rest of us didn't have to be." "That's not raising a child," I said. "That's creating dependence so you never had to grow." Neither of them had an answer for that. They just stood there, shocked, sputtering, cornered by the truth. When Elise opened the door with a small, polite nod, they walked out. No dramatic apologies, no last-minute guilt. Just the simple, final sound of a door closing behind them. The silence they left wasn't soothing, it Felt thick like the air after a storm, everything still damp, still trembling with leftover lightning. Elise stayed for a moment, sliding the signed papers into her folder and closing it with care. She studied me for a long second. "They'll fight back," she said quietly, "maybe with guilt, maybe in public. Expect anger disguised as heartbreak." I nodded, though my stomach tightened. She was right. They didn't even wait a full night. While I lay there, still hooked up to meds, my phone lit up with a message from Mira. "I can't believe you ambushed us like that. You're always bitter. You just wanted to embarrass me in front of him." A few minutes later, another message lit up my phone. "You're not a victim. You just like acting like one for attention." Then one from my father. "This is betrayal. After everything we gave you. I paid for your school, your activities, your entire childhood. And this is how you repay us." Each message pressed against the thin layer of calm I was trying to hold on to. I didn't reply. Elise had warned me earlier, silence is strength. Let the boundaries speak for you. So I muted them. I let the phone buzz until the noise meant nothing, but it didn't end there. A couple of days after I was discharged, still moving slowly on crutches, I saw it publicly this time. A vague post from my father online. "Sometimes the people you love hurt you the most, especially when they forget who stood by them." Dozens of sentimental comments piled under it. Aunt Lorraine chimed in with her classic passive-aggressive tone. "We raised our kids to value loyalty. Some forget that." I didn't respond. What surprised me wasn't their blame. It was who stayed quiet and who didn't. My cousin Julian, someone I hadn't spoken to in years, sent a private message. "I believe you. I saw how they treated you. Mira was always the chaos, and you were expected to hold everything together. That was never fair." That message broke me open more than anything in that hospital did. Someone understood without making me justify my story. Then there was Emily from work, who dropped groceries by my door with no lecture, no questions, and my friend Nora, who texted, "You don't owe your well-being to people who drain you." Bit by bit, I realized I wasn't actually alone. The people who genuinely cared didn't need explanations or proof. They didn't twist my hurt into theatrics or rewrite history to soothe their guilt. They just showed up, and slowly, I learned to show up for myself too. Therapy became a place where I wasn't defending my past, but unpacking it piece by piece, why I stayed, why I tolerated, why I kept shrinking myself so they wouldn't feel small. One day my therapist told me something that landed like a sudden flash of clarity. "You weren't loved for who you were valued for what you provided. That isn't love. That's a transaction." Those words cut straight through everything I thought I knew. In reclaiming my finances, I reclaimed something far more important: my identity. I opened a new savings account, changed my emergency contacts, and blocked my father and Mira everywhere. None of it came from anger. It came from a calm clarity, the kind that settles in after a storm strong enough to tear away what was never steady to begin with. Months passed. My leg slowly repaired itself, cast, brace, cane, until only a faint pull remained whenever the weather shifted. But the deeper injury, the one carved by years of dismissal and favoritism, took longer. Still, I healed. Every act of choosing myself stitched a new part of me back in place. Walking alone no longer felt lonely. Cooking dinner for one didn't feel like abandonment. Laughter didn't come from pleasing anyone. It came from lightness. My father and Mira never apologized, and for the first time their silence didn't frighten me. It freed me. Their absence opened room for people who cared without conditions. Friends who showed up with warm meals. A coworker who gently helped me adjust at work. Even my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Lively, stopping by once a week with flowers wrapped in paper. Through those small and steady gestures, I discovered something no court or document could teach me. Family isn't defined by DNA. Family is the people who stay when the lights go out. The ones who trust your pain without demanding a performance. The ones who never make you apologize for needing support. And to anyone waiting for a parent to finally see them, to anyone still trying to earn affection by sacrificing themselves, you don't need to bleed to be worthy of love. You already are. And the moment you stop begging for scraps, moment you claim your own life, is the moment your healing truly begins.